Yeah, well, my statement's 25 minutes long, but thank you for being on. And it's good to see Weissman. How are you doing? Okay? You've had a lot of stuff happen.
Much better. Thank
Okay,
you.
that's good. But hopefully, you and your families are all doing well. As a program, and my family, we're good. In fact, really good. Uh, the kids came back, that first of August. We did all the stuff we were supposed to do, started school, and at that time we were in 1 day a week testing, and since then we get tested every day, the PCR test, and we haven't had any positives, not just from our team and our coaching staff, but also our whole basketball team, everyone, secretaries, trainers, everybody. So we haven't had any injuries, any problems at that. I think Duke Athletics has done a marvelous job. A guy named Bob Weissman has been like if I was in a war, he'd be one of my generals. I'll tell you that. He's really done this properly, and I think Duke's done a good job. Their decision to densify this first semester, I think, has proven to be a very wise decision, and so we're just going to keep moving on and keep navigating as the landscape for college basketball continues to change. So welcome any of your questions.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Mm.
We'll go to Steve Wiseman first. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Coach, how are you? I mean, how can you prepare for a season when, as far as the schedule, like, we're probably going to start November 25th, I guess it looks like, and we don't really know what it's going to look like from that point forward at this point, publicly anyway. How is that different? How can you prepare for this type of season?
Well, actually, to be quite frank, I think we're prepared better than we usually are because our kids have been in a bubble. We've had, the extra time, even from going to 4 hours a week to 8 hours for a couple weeks, and now to the regular 20-hour week, and not having any guys injured or sick. They've gotten a lot of individual instruction, and because they're kind of in their own bubble, most of their classes are remote. They become really close as a unit, and then it's just a matter of how long can you maintain that without having any outside competition. In other words, we'll have to navigate what happens if games are canceled. I saw where the Gavitt games were canceled today or last night, and the MTEs in Orlando, and things that I think we should have anticipated happening when people were trying to put this thing together, and how it could be done for safety and also for the best possible season. But we continue to change week to week, and we're going to have to navigate that because that's the landscape and that we're in, and that's how people have really saw fit to. I hate to use the word lead because I don't think it's leading. They just made decisions that this is how the environment we're going to be in, and hopefully by the time we do play, that there will be national protocols medically so that everyone who's playing against one another will be under the same medical protocols, which I think are essential for the safety of these kids. But we're good. Our guys are good. I mean, but they all want to play, and we got to make sure that there's a safe environment and they have an opportunity to play.
All right, we'll go to Aaron Beard next. Aaron, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, good to see you again.
Yeah.
Following up on that question about scheduling, how difficult has it been, the scheduling process of just putting something together amid everything going on?
Yeah, it's been really difficult for everybody, and now you put in another thing with those MTEs being canceled. People are losing games. John Jackson, who he and I work hand in hand in this, and he's done yeoman's work in this regard. Really, cutting down from 31 to 27, it should have been where you just give 27 games, and so we didn't do that. So then people tried to form their own MTEs, get into different things and whatever, and now you can get into 2 MTEs. You can You're trying to figure out games. I just think the planning in that regard was not very, very good. You know, once you cut down from 31 to 27, you should have just given everyone an opportunity to schedule and not worry about the MTEs. And we actually have formed our own because we had to, and now it looked, anyway, it's crazy. Yeah, and where it could have been easy to just say, everyone's got 27, let's go. And so John Jackson's been working like crazy to get it done. You know, right now we have pretty much what we think is a 27 games schedule, but we'll just wait till tomorrow, and then the next day, and the next day, and then you have to adjust accordingly. And you know, when I was growing up in Chicago, we lived on in a Columbus Park schoolyard, and you know, on a Thursday we could schedule a game with the guys at Reese Park on Saturday, and maybe the guys at Humboldt Park on Monday. So maybe we're going to get in. Who knows? Who knows? So I'm going to check on those Reese Park and Humboldt Park guys to see if they're available in case we get any cancellations. Crazy. It's crazy.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
I'll go to Brendan Marks with The Athletic. Brendan, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, thanks so much for taking the time.
Mhm.
I know it's been a couple of months since this has happened, but I actually wanted to ask about the three guys he had leave early. Trey, I saw he was just, you know, got his reserve honor at Cameron, but also Vernon and Cassius. How difficult was that process for them working through in COVID times, and also, you know, draft coming up soon, projecting? How do you think all of their skills translate to be successful in the NBA?
Yeah, I think, for us it's translated pretty well because they're all ready and they're getting ready. They have great representation. They've been working out. You know, you'd be shocked. Vernon's weighs 237 pounds now. You know, his parents got mad at him, stopped feeding him, and no, he's he's really worked hard. And I talked to his agent 2 nights ago, and we end up talking to a lot of NBA people about our guys. You know, Trey's got great representation also, and he's really done well. He's been out at P3 in California, is showing even more athleticism. Cassius is represented by a really good guy, his dad, and so we keep in constant communication with all of them, and they're anxious, but I think, they're all in good places. Yeah, I think they'll end up well, hopefully with great organizations that'll help, especially with Vernon, because he's the youngest, to help in his development.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go next to Seth Davis. Seth, go ahead.
Seth, you're up early. It's good to see that. I thought you writers got up around noon and had a glass of wine and walked around on the beach and whatever, but that's very impressive.
I keep it in my bro. My
All right.
youngest had me on the beach this morning, so I know this is first world problems. I apologize for the very off-topic question, but I heard your podcast interview with JJ Redick.
Yeah.
Recently talked about when you considered the Lakers job, and I'm curious, given that this was before you started with USA Basketball, how close were you to Kobe at that point, 2004? I know you recruited him. Would you consider that you guys were like super close by that point, and how much did the opportunity to coach him specifically factor into however talented that you were?
Yeah, I thought we knew each other real well. They're not as well as after I coached them for the U.S. team, but no, that was a big factor. A huge factor was whether or not they could keep Kobe and Shaq together, and I've felt that not everything was being done by everybody to make that happen, which I thought was kind of strange because that's a pretty good winning combination. And but going through that process, I was 57, I think, at that time, or 57, 58, and I just looked into it because of I felt I had at least another decade of coaching ahead of me, and we had accomplished a good amount in college. Should I try something different? And the only other job I really considered from the different pro opportunities that were presented over the years was the Celtics in '90 with Dave Gavitt. And those are the two franchises I thought were historically were the key. And so I looked into it real close, and the Lakers were unbelievable in what they did. Mitch Kupchak was sensational, and they ended up making an amazing offer that after consideration, we felt that my family and we just felt that we loved Duke and loved what we were doing. But it was I didn't know how close it would be. Then it got very strong because you were talking about really. I'm not going to go into specifics about the contract, but it's like generational type of money, you know, and so. But I'm happy. A few months later, I got offered the U.S. job. The 2 years after I turned down the Celtics, we won 2 national championships. So, anyway, the game, the hand we sought to play ended up being really good. Actually, I think 2 days ago was the 15th anniversary of the day that I was announced as the U.S. coach. So it brought back some great memories.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go to Dana O'Neill next. Go ahead, Dana.
Hi, good morning, Mike. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Nolan.
Yeah.
Obviously he took a big role this summer with a lot of social activism and things like that, but more just his emergence as a coach and a presence and a voice in this game. I mean, where do you see his future?
Huge. Nolan, whether it be in college or in the pros, he's got it, not just talent. He has it, the personality, the people skills, the organizational skills, and they still think he's the mayor here of Duke, from when he played, and the people's champ, But Dana, he's done an amazing job during this pandemic and with all the social unrest and that. And actually, we have a brotherhood Zoom tonight with all of our former players, and the stuff that we've done as a result of that. Nolan kind of started that, and in our community, he's like the Pied Piper. I've recruited him not just to be on my staff, but we have an amazing place in Durham, the Ncaa Krzyzewski Center. It's 15 years old, and it's really reaches a couple thousand kids in our community. And I recruited him to be on our board because I thought that he could connect. We have a very diverse board. It's an unbelievable one of about 20 people, but he really connects with people. And it's unlimited, the potential for him. He's going to be a real early head coach at a college or university, or I could see him being in the pros too. And he's just got it. He's got it, and he's been able to do more because of in his job as the director of basketball operations. During this pandemic, they've kept me away, where it gives him an opportunity to work with the kids too, and he's got it. He's gotten a lot of offers already from different people. I said, just hold tight, man. And he has a beautiful family. They're expecting Cameron's a little girl they have, and they're expecting a little baby boy. I have a feeling the odds are in favor of them naming him after his dad, and they just got his wife Shayna's a former Air Force officer, so he'll have that team. I think in order to be really successful as a coach in this game, whether it be the woman and the man or the man and the woman, depending on who the coach is, it's got to be a team, and he's got that already also.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to C.L. Brown next. Go ahead, C.L.
Hi, Mike. Kind of we selected Nolan as our Tar Heel of the Month at the News and Observer, and for his community.
Why didn't you call him a Blue Devil of the Month, or what is that? He might be offended by that. Probably not, but anyway, little
Yes.
sensitivity training on your part, CL. Come on, man.
Well, I was curious, since you basically seen him grow from a young boy to a man, at what point was there any point that just kind of clicked, that you saw him kind of take more of an active role in being involved in the community and wanting to give back?
Well, I think it happened when he was a student here. He was, he was not the ideal kid to coach initially. He was a tough coach for a little bit, and then he got it, and that's why he's a 4-year guy. Some of the bridges that these kids are never able to cross in their maturity as a player or as a person, as a result of going early, it's kind of sad, really. And for him, he had the benefit, although he had lost his dad before he was 10. He lost his dad. Monica, his mother, is a beautiful person, and his sister is beautiful. So he had, I know because I've been influenced by 4 great women, my 3 daughters and my wife, he had the benefit of having a woman's perspective and support as he learned to develop another perspective with male leadership. And once he got that combination, it just went off the charts. And just went off the charts. And he can speak to that more if he wanted to. But he, while he was here at Duke, his junior and senior years here, he got it, and he became CL outside of himself. And he allowed the things that were inside of him to come outside, and he didn't realize how many beautiful things he had inside of him that would resonate with people, not just in a sports world. He's an exceptional human being. This kid, he's not a kid anymore, but I'm proud of him. I love him, and he's just you know what? He's like, if the room was dirty with responsibility, he'd be the best vacuum cleaner that you could have. He would get every bit of that responsibility. He's a heat-seeking responsibility guy. Unbelievable. He gets things done before you know that they should have been done. And crazy. Makes me a lot better, I'll tell you that.
Hey, thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go next to Barry Jacobs. Go ahead, Barry.
Hello, Mike. Good to see you.
Thanks, Barry.
Last year at this time, you were describing your team as being old-fashioned by the way it was constituted and how you were going to play. And listening to the interviews with people from the program in the last couple of weeks, sounds like a very similar situation. Is that how you would describe it?
I don't know what old-fashioned means anymore. But these kids are really together, and we're athletic. We're young. We don't have as much separation from 1 to 11, but we're getting more, and the more we practice, they're making each other better. There's competition because when you go 5-on-5, you're going against 5 other good players. And so, and they love one another, they work hard, they're in the gym all the time. And then we are seeing some separation with, like Matt Hurd has had a great, he's been terrific. He's 20 pounds heavier, confident. He doesn't look like he should be as quick as he is, but he is. In the last 2 weeks, Wendell has really taken another huge step forward. Goldwire has been outstanding, and he was outstanding last year. And a kid that's really come on, especially this week, is Jeremy Roach. And but all of them have, DJ, Joey Baker. They've been good. we have a lot of pieces, and we're going to play a very up-tempo game and fast-paced. Mark Williams is somebody that we've never really had. Now he's young, and he's always had some tendonitis, knee problems, but he's 7'1" and with a 7'5" wingspan, and so he's been good too. There are a lot of good pieces, and so we'll be playing more people than we've normally played, but that doesn't mean it'll be equal playing. When you get separation, the guys who separate, some need to play more, and they will. Mm-hmm.
We'll go next to Sumner. Jim, go ahead.
Hey, Mike. Good to see you again. Can we circle back to Joey Baker while you were talking about how young the team was? Joey's all of a sudden a veteran. What are you seeing from him in practice? Is he ready to take the next step?
No, he's as committed as any kid. He lives in the gym. He's in his role, whether he starts or not, he's got to be that spacer, that guy who, could knock down 2-3 threes in a row. He's become more athletic, and he works like crazy. He competes like crazy. Just, he's different than anyone we have. And then, so when you're different in a good way on a team, you need to really define that role for yourself so that whenever we need it, and we should need it all the time, we know that we can depend on you to fulfill that role. So sometimes he has a tendency to try to do too much, which takes away from that. But that's a good thing because he just wants to do more. All four of my upperclassmen, including our 3 walk-ons, have been unbelievably good with our young guys. I think Jeremy had a little presser in the last couple of days where he talked about the influence that Jordan Goldwire's had on him. And I see that every day. Yeah, that's a good thing. We have a good mojo going, with our guys. And, you all know from being on, I don't know how much Zoom you're on, I'm on a lot. You are, if you're the person on Zoom, you're giving energy. You're not, nothing against you all, but I'm not feeling as much back. But that's okay. It's only for 30 minutes. But if you're doing this for a long time, it wears on you. And so when our guys got back and started working out, even my wife said, "Boy, you feel you're different." I said, "Yeah, it's exciting. I'm around 18 to 22-year-olds who believe in us and believe in me and are working their butts off and they're having fun and not bad, not bad." And it's always good. The best is when a staff gives energy and players give energy back, and we got that going really, really well now. Not well, like it's been crazy good in that regard. I'm very, very pleased with it. I look forward every day to being with these kids.
We have time for a couple more. We'll go to Evan Cohen next with the Chronicle. Evan, go ahead.
Yeah, so the program's obviously been very involved with social activism, especially this year. But looking back at the program's history, you can go back to the 1970s where Gene Banks is one of the pioneers of integrating the Duke program. So I was just wondering, what kind of impact have you seen, him have on the course of the program as one of his first highly tutored black recruits? And what were your impressions of him when you were able to coach him his senior year?
Yeah, well, I thought that was a great thing for Duke and for Bill Foster, the coach at that time, to Dana will tell you how hard it is to get good players out of Philadelphia. They have more schools per space per miles there than anyone, and good basketball programs, outstanding programs. And so that was a big commitment. And it really, in the late 70s, for Bill, that along with Spinarkle, Kenny Denard, these guys, Mike Jaminski, for a couple of years there, they were one of the top teams, almost won a national championship. So putting that in the spotlight, TV was not yet big then. TV became big in the mid-'80s, okay, with ESPN and that. But it helped our university a lot during that time, just like the kids who have played for me once TV hit have helped this university in that regard with the number of the African American players that we've had who are amazing guys and outstanding players also. And I enjoyed coaching Gene for 1 year. It was a big change from being the West Point coach and coaching him in Denard. That was a really big change. And but since then, and we were good then, but since then, Gene and I have been really close. We do a lot with Fuqua, not I do, but my program does, with corporate ed events with different organizations, and Gene, Ricky Price, and some of our former players work with my daughter Debbie, Rachel Curtis, and putting these on. So we've been able to connect that way and through our fantasy camp. And so Gene's a good guy, really good guy, and he helped Duke a lot.
We have time for two more. We'll go first with David Teal, and then we'll wrap it up with Mark Armstrong. David, go ahead.
Mike, you mentioned in response to CL how you thought that Nolan found himself during his time as a student at Duke. What kind of step was it for a young man such as Henry Coleman to give that impactful speech there on campus during the summer?
You know, yeah. No, it was unbelievable. You know, we had Nolan organized a thing with all of our student athletes that was beautiful. Not good. It was beautiful right out in Krzyzewskiville, and social distance, and Carol Lawson spoke. A few of our leaders on campus spoke. I had an opportunity to speak, and then it was good he was the last person. Then they said, well, any of the players, and Henry, I mean, he's a freshman. He goes up, he just knocks it. He doesn't knock it out of the park. It's a grand slam, and but you know, the family he comes from, it doesn't surprise me, and this kid is he's even a better player than I thought. But as a person, he's been he's the most energetic, and he's kind of loud, really. You know, in a good way. He you know, he's not like your typical freshman, and but for him to just say that extemporaneously and with the emotion that he did, you know, shows, you know, we're lucky. You know, we're very lucky to have him. And you know what? His time at Duke, I hope I'm around when he's, you know, stop playing and whatever, to see who he becomes, not just as a player. But I just think he's going to be a very special guy in our country. He's that good. This kid he's that good.
Summer about the necessity of locking down a way to have the NCAA tournament. Have you seen any tangible steps forward to make that a reality?
Well, I think the NCAA already did that. They said what they were going to do. They put a minimum of 13 games, so a lot of people have said, you know, any concepts, we don't want to devalue the regular season. There is no regular season. You know, like from the very start, this was not looked at as a time where we have a pandemic. And nothing against them, but that's the main thing they're concerned about. You know, then it really goes up to the conferences and, you know, to figure it all out. And so we have that. We're going to have March Madness. We don't know how teams will get in. We don't know a lot of things, but we know we're going to have March Madness. We know we're going to have a regular season. We just don't know much about both. And it's a hell of a way to run a railroad.
I get that was kind of the thrust of the question with the logistics. Have you seen it? I mean,
well, there are none. Yeah, there are none. I mean, there are none, and there I'm sure there will be. But even how you would choose, I mean, the selection committee has no idea of what they'll do right now, and nothing against them. How can they? You know, how can they? And so let's just keep navigating. It's a changing landscape. And the military, we call it being agile leaders. The ability to show agility. And when you show agility, you should also show creativity. And since we're on a lot of those T's, we also should have sensitivity. And that's the key thing. We should have sensitivity to the kids playing the game and making sure that that's the key thing in all of this. The sensitivity to the kids playing the game and making sure it's a safe environment and that everyone's doing it the same way medically. And I'm all for that in whatever way we can figure out or as we move along.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
All right. Thank you all. It's good seeing you, and hopefully we have some press conferences after games. That would be a cool thing to do. All right. All right. Thank you.